Poker players need very little math to play well. Once and for all, I'm going to show you the correct way of counting outs, using the rule of 4 and 2, and calculating pot odds, so that you'll be able to make winning decisions at the table. Step 1. Counting outs. Here's an example of counting outs. Suppose my hand is the 6 of spades, 5 of spades. The flop comes down Queen of spades, 3 of diamonds, 7 of spades. In this case, my hand has almost no chance of winning unless it improves. If it does improve, I have a very good chance of winning. First, I see I need any spade to make a flush, or any 4 to make a straight. Notice that the 4 of spades appears twice. I'm careful to only count it one time. I have a total of 12 outs. 12 cards can come that will improve my hand to what I hope will be a winning hand. Step 2. The rule of 4 and 2. After I figure out how many outs I have, I use the rule of 4 and 2 to determine how often I'll make a winning hand. Let's start off with the rule of 4. After the flop, I multiply my number of outs by 4 to determine my chances of making a winning hand. In this case, I have 12 outs. 12 times 4 is 48. Therefore, I have about a 48% chance of improving my hand by the river. The rule of 2. After the turn card, I use the rule of 2. Suppose the turn card comes the 8 of clubs. Now I have 15 outs. All the spades make a flush, the 4s will make a straight, and 9s will also make a straight. I now multiply my number of outs by 2, and that tells me that I've got a 30% chance of catching a winning card on the river. Step 3. Calculating pot odds. After figuring out my chances of winning by using the rule of 4 and 2, I have to calculate the pot odds to make winning decisions. Suppose the pot has $300 in it. My opponent bets $100. Now the pot contains $400. I'm being asked to call $100 to win $400. My pot odds are 400 to 100, or simplifying that, 4 to 1. If I call $100, my $100 chip will represent 1/5 or 20% of the pot. So I need a 20% chance to win to justify calling. Step 4. Making winning decisions. After counting my outs, using the rule of 4 and 2, and figuring out the pot odds, I can make correct winning decisions at the table. This is what it's all about. Suppose I have 5 outs after the flop. 5 times 4 equals 20%. I've got a 20% chance of making my hand. After the bet, there's $200 in the pot. I'm being asked to call 100. I'm getting 2 to 1 pot odds. Therefore, I need a 1 out of 3, or a 33% chance to win to justify calling that $100 bet. I only have a 20% chance of winning, so in this case, folding is the winning decision. Here's a little bonus section, implied odds. Suppose the pot has $300 in it, and my opponent bets $100. That same opponent has $200 left in front of them. The pot now contains $400. I'm being asked to call 100 to win 400. My pot odds are 4 to 1. However, if I catch a winning card, I'm absolutely certain that my opponent is going to call his last $200. So, the pot size should look like $600. 600 is the implied pot, the $400 currently in the pot, and the $200 that I'll win if I make my hand. If I call the $100, my $100 chip will represent 1/7, or 14% of the implied pot. So, I need a 14% chance to win to justify calling. Hey, we're covering a ton of information here, so feel free to take some breaks and let this stuff sink in. If you didn't get it the first time, remember, you can watch this DVD as many times as you need to. Before we get back to the table, let's take a quick look at the chip count. Chris now has more chips than I do, Butch still has a monster stack, and I'm second to last. For now.
Okay, we've gone to a $2,000 ante, 5 and 10,000.
Jack 7 suited, against 5 opponents from early position, no way. They probably think I'm on tilt too, and I pretty much am. I'm going to lay it down.
Phil lets it go.
Now, even though I'm not playing the hand, I'm still involved. I'm observing my opponents and trying to find information that's going to help me later. I'm going to look for tells. I'm going to look for betting patterns. I'm going to try to figure out what hands they have, and I'm going to try to figure out what state of mind they're in.
Gonna raise.
Harmony's going to raise the pot. She makes it 30,000, a raise of 20,000. KW's out.
I'll dance with you, my dear. But let's make it 80,000.
Like a lot of guys that Harmony plays against, Bruce thinks that he can push her around.
80,000 is the bet from Bruce, a raise of 50,000. There's some passes. Butch is out.
Yeah, I'll call that.
She's going to call.
Bruce's re-raise got him heads up in position against Harmony.
Flop is ace, 8, 7 with 2 clubs.
The texture of this board is very dangerous because there's an ace, and Bruce is likely to play any hole card with an ace. There are also 2 cards of the same suit, and that makes a flush draw possible. There are 2 connecting cards, which makes a straight draw possible. The texture of this board is dangerous, and that would determine how I'd play this hand if I were still in. If I had the top pair right now, a pair of aces, I'd make a big bet, a bet about the size of the pot, and I'd try to get those drawing hands to fold. This is what's great about No Limit Texas Hold'em. You can change the size of your bet to manipulate the pot odds to cause people with drawing hands to pay an appropriate price to continue.
I'll check that.
Didn't help you?
Harmony checks.
Well, let's keep this ball rolling. 60,000.
60,000 is the bet.
Bruce bet a third of the pot into this dangerous board. His bet's giving Harmony pot odds of 4 to 1. If she's on a draw, she should definitely call. I think Bruce made a poor bet here. If he's got a strong hand, he's got to bet more to protect his hand. I think it's more likely that Bruce is bluffing and was afraid to risk too many chips if it didn't work out.
I'm all in.
And she moved all in.
All right, now, Harmony's all in. She's either very strong or she suspects that Bruce is on a bluff. Her bet gives Bruce less than 2 to 1 pot odds to call, so he'd be making a mistake to call with a straight or flush draw because he's not getting the proper odds to do so.
It's all yours.
Great play by Harmony. The key to this hand is that the texture of the board should determine your bet. If you have a hand that can easily be outdrawn, bet strongly enough to offer insufficient odds for your opponents to continue. When I have a good hand and the texture of the board is dangerous, I usually bet about the size of the pot because I want my opponent to fold. When I have a good hand and the texture of the flop is not dangerous, I usually bet somewhere about a third to half the size of the pot because I want my opponent to call. The texture of the board determines my bet.
So Gordon now with the big blind. Harmony passes.
Let's make it 30.
KW makes it 30,000.
Cool.
Call over here from Butch.
I think I'm going to call here. I really want to be in a pot with KW and Butch.
And Phil Gordon also calls.
Butch is going to donate chips, and KW is either going to go all in or fold after the flop. If he goes all in, it may just be with a marginal hand.
First 3 cards.
Bingo, that's a fantastic flop. I got the flush draw, I got the top pair.
Check.